Um, yeah, I have no idea what's happening. I don't know what happened. Oh God. Well, Oh, hold on. I know what's going on. I needed to mute my YouTube. I am so sorry. I haven't done that for a long time. Oh my gosh. You know, every day is either a Monday for me or it's just a weekend day for me. So today might be a Monday day. We'll see how things go. Welcome everybody to this live stream today where we are actually highlighting the Karen Reed case for those who are interested, who followed one, both, or some of the trials or know anything about the case. Thank you for checking us out. Our tiny little teeny itty bitty, very few subscribers channel where we're going to kind of talk about some of it. I'm honestly, I'm really kind of over it at this point. I mean, I'm grateful for her not guilty verdict. And, that's what we're going to talk about, kind of just honestly just going to toss around some thoughts and ideas between us, the three of us or whoever else joins us maybe. Just going to toss around our ideas and our thoughts about how everything happened, how everything ended, how, our free thoughts of different attorneys and different judges and all of those things. I mean, I suppose people can call me a bandwagoner, that I'm jumping on the Karen Reed not guilty bandwagon or whatever. That's not at all what I'm about and what this is about. This is about the three of us being wrongful conviction advocates for those wrongfully convicted. You have to be careful how you say that, or at least I feel like I do. But for the three of us who are advocates for those who are wrongfully convicted, I think I'll speak for only myself, but I watched both trials, especially the second one, with my eyes on that. What is going to happen if she was found guilty on, either one or three in the charges and the counts? That would be, in my mind, a wrongful conviction, which I would be talking about all the time. And so thank God that's not at all what happened. And, just have to be grateful for that. And, but, also take our time on the stage or on the YouTube universe, to just talk about how we feel and how we felt about the trials and different behaviors. Because this is, like the description says, nothing is scripted here. There is no outline whatsoever. I imagine it will be perhaps a little bit all over the place. So if you're familiar though with the trial and you watch the trial, one or both, then hopefully I think you'll understand that it's about just about just getting our thoughts out, just verbally, saying our thoughts out loud. I think the three of us on the panel watched the trial in very different ways. I will say that I watched the trial with Uncivil Law, Kurt from Uncivil Law, the second trial, and the chat. We had a great time in chat. We were all pretty much. We were all pretty succinct with our thoughts and opinions and comments in the chat. And I think most of us also aligned with what Kurt was also saying. And you either like a YouTube channel, a content creator who's live streaming trials that it's a commentary channel, or you don't. You prefer something like Law and Crime or Court TV. I like the commentary channel because I like to hear, especially from those who are attorneys like Kurt, uh, that have knowledge and can pause the live stream in the middle of the trial and explain some things that, you know, maybe he sees questions in the chat that he thinks he should address or whatever. So he teaches us a lot, much like Emily D. Baker. And I watched Everyday Live with Kurt, and then sometimes in the evening, depending on what had happened during that day of the trial, I would go back and watch what Emily D. Baker would say. You know, because I like different opinions. And then there's, of course, all sorts of other law tubers out there that, you know, you can join in and watch. So before I get to introducing the panel, I just want to say a quick hello to everybody in the chat. And we'll start with Rick, who is on the panel. He jumped in early in the chat to let us know he was settling in. So welcome, Rick, and thank you for being here.
Always.
Yeah. And I don't recall. Cherie says hello to everyone. And RP, thank you so much for taking a break and, you know, jumping in to say hello to us. We appreciate it. And our very good friend TJ Anderson, thank you for being here. And a fellow uncivilian from Kurt's channel, my cat's name is Karen. Karen and I kind of, as I think you do in different chats, you kind of, well, Kurt's chat is usually always very respectful and nice and pleasant, and not a lot of, you know, garbage comes in the chat. And you know, so you kind of feed off of one another in the chat, making comments and things. Sometimes we're funny, sometimes we're pissed off, sometimes we're, you know, happy, whatever. But my cat's name is Karen, and I kind of, I don't know, we made some little weird connection. We, you know, learned we had several things in common. And then we saw each other throughout different YouTube channels, commenting in different YouTube chats. And so we would like say, hey, what are you doing over here? And probably at least three or four different channels. And so anyway, welcome. And thank you for joining in with us. My cat's name is Karen. Yes. That's what Kurt calls his chatters or his subs or anybody who joins. We're uncivilians. And yeah, I think that could possibly be a good way to describe myself. And he's your little buddy. Captain Jack Harkness. Yeah, he's your little buddy. Let's see. And my cat's name is Karen. Says, can we talk about who the lawyers are having interviews with? I find it weird they haven't gone on EDB. I don't know if she actually has scheduled any interviews, because she was on. I don't know if she was on vacation, but she was out of town and not really live streaming. I think this coming week she's just going to be getting settled back in. But that's a good point. But when I think back, I can't really think of times when Emily D. Baker has really done interviews. I could be wrong, but I don't know for sure. Nathan, I don't recognize your name, but you're welcome here, and thank you for being here. Nathan says, guess I'll be the sole Karen is guilty one here. LOL. Lol. That's fine. You know what? Bring it on. We don't need to be in an echo chamber. And as long as, you know, you're respectful to everybody else in the chat and to those of us on panel, please feel free to, you know, voice your opinion. And that's okay. I'm fine with that. But, you know, I will say that I will put up with very, very little disrespect and rudeness with my people in my chat or any of us on the panel. So, and I have mods who know when it's time to take care of something like that. But I have trust in you, Nathan, that you're going to be completely fine. Excuse me, I'm so sorry. let's see here. Well, I saw enough cold hard data from the phone and vehicle, along with her words, that say John died out on the lawn by the flagpole. Okay, all right. Uh, that's great. I appreciate that. I will say that the only thing I knew about Karen Reed or John O'Keefe or this trial or anything was the first day of trial of the first trial. I didn't know. I'd seen different things throughout my YouTube feed, and but I just was like, oh, gosh, I just something. It just never grabbed my attention, so I didn't ever really think about it until the first day of the first trial, and so I knew nothing going in to this entire case. I've gone way too far, though, without saying hello and welcome to my panel. I don't recall. And Rick. Rick, how you doing?
Doing good.
Good. All right. And what have you been up to this last week with no trial to watch? I know you're very busy otherwise, but...
Actually, a lot of launches, and I did some work on my book, and
just kept yourself busy as usual. Awesome.
Other than that, pretty much relaxed.
Good. That's awesome. Well, I'm glad that you are able to be with us today. So thank you so much. And I know personally, and I think those of you who have been in the chat, over recent past live streams that we've done, rather, appreciate your input and your knowledge. So we really appreciate it. Really quick before I go to Cherie, Naven says, I'm never rude. I leave way before that happens. Well, you know what? I appreciate that. I don't want you to have to leave. But if you do kind of feel like, you're getting to that edge where you might want to bitch slap me virtually or somebody else, then that's probably a good idea to leave. But I really hope that you don't. I hope you stick around. And ML, I know that I've seen ML. ML. I don't think I've ever seen you in my chat, but I know I've seen you in other chats, and I want to say perhaps Kurt's chat or maybe even Andrew Bronca. If I'm not, I don't know for sure, but I know I recognize your name. So thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. And back to welcoming Cherie, my dear, beautiful friend. I called Cherie yesterday afternoon. I was trying to type some information to her that I wanted to share with her, and I thought, nope, screw that. We haven't talked in weeks or possibly months, like the real conversation. And as best friends, we'd just gone way too long. I called her up and I burned out probably both of her ears and her husband's ears, just yakking away. And it was a really, really great afternoon yesterday. So Cherie, thank you for taking the time to be here. And please tell us what you've been doing lately, because you've been a busy girl.
I enjoyed the conversation yesterday, and it's just work. Right now I'm the only attorney that represents tenants in our county, so we're slammed. And plus we were having a lot of things we had to do with family and stuff, so it's nice to not have to do that this weekend and just relax. So happy to be here.
I'm so happy to have both of you here. And, just for the record, Cherie's older than me, but she has a ton more energy than I do.
2 days, only 2 days.
2 days. Yep, that's true. She's only 2 days older, but anyway, so she is very, very busy, very goes above and beyond, and has a really hard time saying no. So that's one. No, I shouldn't say it that way, but because she knows her limits, but still can't say no to things that are important. Excuse me, please.
Are you getting sick on us?
No. I'm not getting sick. I don't know what's happening. It's probably just allergies. It's annoying. Anyway, So I'm so glad to have Rick and Cherie here. Cherie does practice law in landlord-tenant law, and Rick, uh, I can't. Well, okay. When I say what I'm going to say about Rick, it's not to negate anything or minimize anything that Cherie does, because she's very, very involved in so many different. She's volunteers in her community. I know at least once a week, without fail, and just very involved in other wrongful conviction advocacy situations, and has just always been by my side for the last more than 5 years. So um, she lives all the way up in upstate New York. Oh, sorry, I wasn't trying to give away, but I live out in Utah, and it's only through wrongful conviction cases that we've become best friends. And I know that sounds weird, but it's not like a long distance lover relationship. It's a long distance soul sister relationship. Rick, Rick, you know how I am. Okay, so
I
ML,
did not say a word.
You never have to say any words. Your face gives you away every time. Every time. Um, I wanted to ask ML, are you an attorney? Um, and if you're comfortable, please put in the chat where I recognize you from, because I really am curious. So anyway, if you haven't already, please like, share, and subscribe. I don't care if you share or not, really, but just like and subscribe if you're not already subscribed. We, like I said, for 5+ years, we've been doing this channel in this particular case of Daniel Holtzclaw, and we're barely barely got to 700 and I think 57 or 58 subscribers after 5+ years, because our content isn't easily searchable, and it's not content that people are like drawn to and interested in. However, having said that, with what I kind of feel like could have been a really close call with Karen Reed as a wrongful conviction, I just wish that more people, more big, I wish some of the huge content creators who are, very, very good at following all of their, these big, high profile cases and talking about them, and would just take a look. If you don't even look at my channel for content and information about Daniel Holtzclaw's case, just look it up on the internet. It is an older case. The conviction was in January of 2015. The case began in June of 2014. And so it's a huge wrongful conviction case. And I think part of the reason that there's so much apathy about it, which is very sad, is that because at the time that he was charged with the crimes they falsely accused him of and convicted him of, he was a cop. So in Oklahoma City. And that's, go ahead. No,
I
please.
was going to say, I think one reason people may not aren't really drawn to it as much, because they don't know the truth. If they knew the truth behind it, they'd be all sorts of pissed off. Excuse my language. Okay. We
are very pissed off, and it's a matter of, as far as Daniel's case goes, it's a matter of people having an open mind. And I will say that I've read different comments on a bunch of different YouTube videos that have been done from some people, AE, who just automatically believe the whole all cops are bad thing, and they hate cops. And so I've literally seen people comment that he's a cop, he's guilty. And I don't see the law that way. I don't see freedom and justice that way at all. So it really is frustrating. And some of those people are refused to even consider, you know, taking a look at anything, whether it's, like I said before, whether it's our channel or just something they read on the internet or whatever. But because they just don't want, I feel like it's just because they just don't want to know. They just don't want to know that there is truth out there that they're unaware of that could change their mind. And I that whole closed-mindedness thing is really frustrating for me, but you know, what can you do? Under Your Scars is a little battle buddy of ours. She's always giving me information, most of the time regarding Richard Glossop's case, which we also touch on and talk about on this channel, which is another wrongful conviction from Oklahoma City. So, but today I want to, after I spent the first 20 minutes talking about everything else, I do want to kind of just have Rick and Cherie just kind of, or people in chat, just kind of start throwing out comments or something that comes to your mind first that you really want to. That's what I started to say earlier when I was watching with either Law and Crime or a YouTuber that you like or a law tuber that you like, or however you're watching the trial. We all get to say things with our fingertips on the keyboard. And I won't speak for anybody else, but I kind of think that my cat's name is Karen, and I had a brief back and forth one day, maybe, because you make a lot of virtual friends through these things as well. So anyway, it could have been somebody else, but I feel like it was my cat's name is Karen. And I was like, I watch it by myself. I watch all these things by myself. My family's usually working or on activities or whatever. So I'm by and they're not interested. So I watch it by myself and I'm like yelling, like I'm typing stuff into the chat, and I'm like yelling out the screen about nobody is hearing me. Nobody's hearing us in the chat be able to vocalize our thoughts and frustrations and stuff. So it's frustrating. And I think I mentioned to Cherie yesterday in our conversation that it's one thing to type, and we're so used to texting and the stuff on the computer that we're doing. I feel like a lot of us have forgotten how to actually use our verbal voices, if that makes sense. So anyway, that's just one, and so that's kind of why I'm doing this today, so that we can take comments or questions from the chat, and that the three of us on the panel can just kind of just randomly spit out thoughts and opinions of things that we have about the case. So let me just grab these really quick. ML says, I watched trial 1 and 2 on YouTube. Great, that's awesome. And well, let's see. Rick said, my cat's name is Karen. Welcome to you as well. Don't think I've seen her here. Yep, we haven't seen her here before, but she's always been telling me in those chats that she's gonna join and watch. So I'm glad that she was able to make it today. And Pat Hacker. I know Pat Hacker from a couple of different channels, Robert Govea and Kurt, and also Andrew Branca. So thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. All of you who have kind of popped in to join us today. It's really makes me smile a lot. So clerk's verdict, not guilty, hero. In my opinion, the Karen Reed prosecution and the massive collateral harm it is still causing in plain sight is the beginning of something larger happening behind the scenes. Very that just gave me chills. That is also a new name in our chat. Clerk's verdict, not guilty. So I'm so grateful for you to be here and to check out what we want to talk about today. So thank you. Under Your Scar said the jury did it right. Should have never been a first trial, never mind a 2. Yes, I completely agree. And Cherie commented, it's great to be able to discuss it with folks who are watching and know what you're talking about. Yeah, that's the other thing, just being able to watch, with especially if you're watching with a law tuber who knows what they're talking about. It's really nice for me. So anyway, who would like to start? Oh, Sheila. Hi, Sheila. I appreciate you being here. I'm excited to see you. So, I mean, if you want to in chat, especially for those of you who haven't been in our chat before, if you just want to shout out where you heard about my channel from, and if you want to shout out just any little thing about you and or what your opinion is, because we want to hear it for sure. And I'll do my best to highlight your comments or questions as I see them. But Cherie, Rick, which one of you wants to start? Which one wants to say something right off the bat and get it off your chest?
Did you see Brennan's statement?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, talk about being pissed off. that
Yeah.
would do it.
Well, yes, thank you for mentioning that, because I think that especially a whole. I know. By the way, for those of you who are new to our chat and haven't watched anything before, I don't do a ton of swearing, and that's not because I don't like to swear, because I don't give a fuck what anybody says. I like to swear. I can't help it. It's just part of my language, and it always has been. But I don't do it a lot on this channel, mostly because the person whose case I cover, Daniel Holtzclaw, I don't want to, if anybody in his family or close friends or anything happened to watch any of our live streams regarding Daniel, I don't want them to be hearing a ton of foul language from me. So, because it's not at all that I'm not, can't or won't.
That's
and so,
point.
Yeah, that's part of what my second new channel is going to be for, and I'll put that link back in the chat again eventually. But anyway, so my point is, you're not going to get, what's it called, timed out or kicked out or anything like that for using, unfamily-like language in our chat. I mean, just don't be a dick about it. By the way, if
Is it going
anybody
to be one of those channels? If you're under the age of 15, you should leave the room.
I already have it set though, so that kids aren't supposed to watch. So that's how I set the channel up to begin with. Because for those of you who don't know, I promise we're getting to Kara Reed, but for those of you who don't know, the very nature of the case we cover on this channel involves sexual assaults and stuff like that. And when we read trial testimonies and different things or police reports, we're hearing the real words, and we read the real words. We don't cut anything out. So
correction, they're alleged sexual assaults.
Alleged sexual assaults. Yes, exactly. Anyway, so I'm loving looking at the chat. I got to stop looking at the chat because I can't focus. I want to try to, Cherie and Rick, if you guys want to help me, maybe stop me and let me know if there's something I should address in the chat right away. But basically, like I indicated, I'm so grateful that this Karen Reed is not another wrongful conviction case that I would feel obligated, not obligated, but intent on covering. So we're going to talk about it in depth this one time, and then that's all we're going to do. I have no access to any interviews from attorneys or jurors or anything like that. So you're just getting the three of us, raw feelings, true opinions, true thoughts, and the same from all of you in the chat as well. So Rick said, mentioned something about
to talk about the verdict, because
Hank
it
Brennan's,
was such a crazy day on Wednesday when the verdict came down.
Sorry. It mentioned something about Hank Brennan's statement. Now, just so you guys know, I emailed Emily D. Baker to ask permission to use her clips. I'm going to use some of her clips and thoughts because I just, I only watched it just a couple of days ago. I think I watched this, and I find her entertaining in an educational sort of way. I find her humorous at times in appropriate moments, but at any rate, she broke down a lot of things, and so if I haven't heard back from her as to permission to use her video, but I did tell her in the email that I would use the clips that I wanted to use with commentary, and that if she does, reach out to me later and tells me that she doesn't give her permission, then I'll either edit these parts out or make the video private or whatever I have to do, because I don't want to be in trouble. I'm not trying to be, that kind of person like the sick individual who ganked and Wrongful's entire interview video the day after the trial or after the verdict. So I picked out some of the things that I wanted, and Emily D. Baker's got a fantastic team. And so she has timestamps almost immediately that she has in her channel. So that helps me. I put them all into a Word document so that I could kind of get right to them. It doesn't show me those timestamps though here on this. So I will, if it's okay with everybody in the chat, if you haven't seen what Emily D. Baker says, I'll share with you what she says on some of these different things. And also, I know that everybody is not everybody's cup of tea. So if you're watching this and you're like, I hate Emily D. Baker, although I don't know I don't want to not play it for those of us who do like her commentary, but hopefully you'll be able to push through it and just listen for the times that I have set. Here we go.
Here we are with the interviews being given. So we're going to Boston News 25 first for this interview from elected DA Michael Morrissey.
Do it.
We're going to do that first. And let's go to our screen share. It's been a minute since we've shared anything other than a video. Like it's been a minute. But I forget that I don't have reader mode on this browser. Hold on, we're going to shift to a different browser. Why? Because Emily's annoyed. I'm like, no, it's hard to read without reader mode. There's too much, there's just so much stuff moving on the screen. It's not very neurodivergent friendly at all. And I keep forgetting to put reader on my other browser. So, un momento. Don't worry, County DA Michael Morrissey. See what happens next, but we're going to cover Kohberger and the Kohberger hearing that we didn't have a chance to cover yet. So that's what we're going to do tomorrow. Because it's going to be time to do that tomorrow. So this is coming from Boston 25. There's our reader mode. Isn't it glorious? It's so much better for me. It's so much better. I hope it's better for you as well, but it is so much easier for my brain. So let's take a look. This was, I think the date's going to be at the bottom. So we will look at the date on the bottom when we get there. Norfolk DA Michael Morrissey releases 4-word statement on Karen Reed verdict. The jury has spoken. Norfolk County DA Michael Morrissey. No period? That's it? That's all? The jury has spoken. I mean, yes, they have, but no, not even any punctuation. The jury has spoken. I mean, I guess if you are the DA, there's not much more for you to say, because people really want to know, why did you hire Brennan? Why did you pursue this second trial? Like, there's a lot of decision making that everybody wants to hear. I want to hear. But yes, the jury has spoken. Okay.
Okay. Like I said, even if you think it's dry humor or I am nowhere near anything like Emily D. Baker. I'm not saying that when I make this comment, but I feel like I think the way she thinks a lot without all the law knowledge and all those things. Because I'm like, that's it. And I said the exact same thing. I'm not like, I am a little fussy about grammar and punctuation. I'm not, for me to say I'm not crazy, it doesn't make me, I'm not crazy about it, but I am very judgmental about grammar and punctuation. So when I read that also on my own, I was like, the jury has spoken. It was just like and I was like, where's her punctuation? So yeah, I thought the same thing that she did. She just was able to say it out loud. So what do you guys think about what Morrissey said? Cherie, what do you think about what Morrissey said?
Well, it's a lot better than what Brennan said.
We're
I know.
going to get there.
I know he wants to. I'm pretty sure he wants to say what Brennan said, but he would at least have the decency not to. So,
Right.
it's true.
Right.
Well,
Rick, what did you think about
Brennan
Morrissey?
was appointed, not elected. All right, keep that in mind. Morrissey probably just said 4 words because he's got to get elected again.
Yeah, very good point. I don't know if it's just me or not. Perhaps you guys can tell me in the chat, or Cherie can tell me. You sound your volume sounds just a little bit low, Rick, I think, for me.
That's possible. My computer updated earlier, so my settings might be off.
Okay. So, and we're going to get to Brennan's statement, but I'm going to kind of follow with Emily D. Baker here, just because she kind of, I don't know. I found that her, the way she put everything out, the way she commented on everything was really interesting. So Raph says, and I know Raph from many other channels as well, but the first time I ever saw you, Raph, was here in our chat when we were doing Daniel Holtzclaw live stream several weeks ago. So thank you for returning, and it's always nice to see you in other chats as well. Raphael says, first trial, Lally introduced doctored evidence of the reverse Sally Port video. Second trial, Brennan deceptively introduced the shirt with cuts in them as damage. They are corrupt all the way up to the DA. I'm not going to disagree with that at all. Yes, and then things about now. See, to me, some of these things are Brady violations, but apparently not in Massachusetts, or at least in Norfolk County. So I don't know. But yes. Okay, Rick is a little low. Thank you, RP. And RP, it's so great to see you. I haven't seen all of you guys from Rob's channel in quite some time, and I'm really sorry about that. I'll be back though. I'll get back there. Jury saw through, ML says the jury saw through the sham of Brennan. Yeah, that boy, Brennan, I feel like that's where I'm going to spend a lot of my opinion. Let's see. And the McAlberts, yay, somebody else who calls them the McAlberts. I know most of us do, but ML says, and the McAlberts, a lot of lying on the stand for the prosecution. Yeah, all lies. It was just, ugh. Sometimes I have gone back, even during the trial, the second trial, I would go back, I would go to the trial channel and watch different witnesses testify again from the first trial. I don't know if it was just to like torture myself or to remind myself or what, but those people are, I'm not going to, I mean, Emily D. Baker did do quite a bit about the McAlbert's interview and Proctor's interview and stuff. I've seen enough of that horse shit. I'm not going to play those parts of the video. I mean, I have the whole video here. If anybody does want to see something, I suppose I can, play parts of it if people are interested in it. I saw enough. They're vile people, in my opinion. So, and I saw little Barb. Oh, I lost you. Where did you go, little Barb? There you are. Hi, little Barb. Little Barb has been with Cherie and I since the very beginning when we started this channel for Daniel Holtzclaw. So welcome and thank you so much for being with us today. Today we're talking about Karen Reed. Little Barb, I don't know if you followed any of that trial or not, but that's what we're going to talk about today. So, all right. Anything else on Morrissey's commentary or comment or words, 4 words with no punctuation that he said? Or are we good with that?
He really didn't say anything else.
He didn't. No, he didn't. He hasn't. And I agree with you, Rick, and I hadn't thought of it that way, but he does have an election that he's trying to, I'll tell you what, yeah, I agree. I get a kick out of DUI guy, Larry Foreman. He is pretty, I don't know, Cherie or Rick, I'd like to be able to put, I think most of the people in the chat already know these people, these YouTubers or LawTubers. But if you can find some of them, maybe just drop their links in the chat. It was not something I prepared for, so that's my bad. But and I've only seen a couple of things from Loophole Lawyer, but yeah, I found what I have watched very interesting. Yeah, yeah, we'll talk about this too. Coffin. Rick had to, or Cherie had to say it for me last night. I can't ever say her name. It's Coffin Dingleberry is what comes out the best for me, but we'll throw in some Coffin Dapper stuff too. Okay, so let's move on to way too far. It's very hard to get to the point exact timestamp you want to doing it this way, but here we go.
Statement first. Hold on, I'm trying to find my. It's been so long since I've used the swoop. I have literally lost where I put it because I don't even see it. It's been so long. So let me try to find the swoop. There it is. Emily, it's still at the top. Let's see what the Massachusetts State Police Union. These are the Mass State Police Troopers Union. So let's see if we can do this.
I've watched all of those.
It up
ML.
too much. There we go.
Amazing interviews.
State Police Association of Massachusetts. State Police Association of Massachusetts statement on the trial and death of Boston police officer John O'Keefe. Period. Look, man, I am not one for grammar. I am terrible at it, but there are times. The association continues to send its sincere condolences to the family of Boston police officer John O'Keefe. Yes, agreed. The jury has spoken, and we remain respectful of the process. Period. Okay, that's when you are done. That's when you're done. That part. Be done. Just be done. But no, not done. Okay. We remain respectful of the process. Then be done with the statement. However, since the beginning of this trial, there have been numerous attacks and accusations against our troopers and sergeants. Careers have been lost.
I will say that when I was watching this, I watch with such a hothead sometimes that I don't always pick out things that are really important. And so as I was watching her go through this and watching some of the faces that she makes and some of the snark that she has and things that she pointed out, I was like, oh, I had not thought of that. And then one of those things was, where it says at the top up there, careers have been lost. I didn't pick up on the plural in careers. and members that's going to be in a couple lines down. I didn't pick up on the plural in members, where it says and former members. I didn't pick up on that either, but she makes a great point about that. Cherie or Rick, please, if you want something to comment on any of that, please let me know.
Well, yeah, it makes me wonder who else they got rid of. I mean, we know about Proctor, but using plural makes me wonder who else and when those people left.
Right. And where did they go? Did they go there voluntarily, or were they? I believe Tully. If I think I've read. I don't, and I hate reading stuff because I don't want to speak in any sort of language that is, speculative. But I did read somewhere, probably in the hellhole that is Twitter, that Tully was reassigned to some. I know that something happened with Tully, but I'm not 100% certain. ML says, I laughed at Proctor when he did the interview and was in tears when he said about what he said about his uniforms being taken. I know. Oh, yeah. I mean, we can watch what Emily has to say about those things. We'll see how things are going to go. But yeah, it was just like, I was literally, I'm sure the universe can hear my eyes rolling at that time. And Raph says, after what officers did to Sandra Birchmore, they are a mess and take no accountability. Yes, Sandra Birchmore is going to be huge. It's going to be a fucking mess in Canton or Stoughton or wherever, Boston, when that finally comes to trial. So, Cherie, any comments about Emily D. Baker and her thoughts on what that fierce few lines?
No, I just, what they say is they're blaming the wrong people. They need mirrors.
Yes. Mirrors that go 360 degrees around their heads, right? Clerk's verdict says reassigned out of NCDAO, but still allowed to be point on the Karen Reed case, hence him flying to Texas to deliver the micro SD to Shannon. Oh, yeah. Oh, and somebody else mentioned Shannon. Oh, goodness. Oh, that was just, I didn't know that, Clerk. So thank you for sharing the whole thing about how Shannon got that micro SD card. I mean, I knew there was something fishy about it and something wasn't right about it, but I had no idea about that. So thank you for sharing that with us. Yes, I agree, Pat the Hacker. Shannon Burgess should lose his job. And just for being dishonest, if nothing else, just for his dishonesty. So I agree. And ML says Sandra Birchmore going to expose the MSP and local police even more. I hope so. And I hope the voters in Boston area, Massachusetts, or whoever has to vote for the DA, I hope something is done about him. And I just really am anxious to kind of, not because I revel in other people's misfortune and misery and in all those different things, but I revel when corrupt people are taken down. I revel in that. There are plenty of corrupt players in Daniel Holtzclaw's case who I would love to see taken down. So that's a whole other topic, though, and something I'm not prepared to talk about right now, but in past videos, those are some things you could see. ML says a lot of the same players from Karen Reed, investigators, and Birchmore and her unborn baby. Yes. Oh, gosh, that was so sad. I listened to a podcast sometime last year. I can't even remember who it was. A fairly popular podcaster, but I can't remember his name for some reason. Anyway, outlined the Birchmore case. so that I could get, because I didn't really have very much information. And so I was so heartbroken over that whole situation. And man, Shannon with one N, I know I've seen you in other chats as well with other law tubers. Thank you so much for joining us today as we just do our own little, our own little breakdown of things that stuck out to us in the trials. But man, Shannon with one N says Tully picked up a couple of witnesses for the prosecution and took them to the trial. Oh, okay. Interesting. I was not aware of that.
All right, seriously, after the big hullabaloo Brennan made with vetting that one witness about somebody giving him a ride.
Yeah. 2 witnesses he did that to, Dr. Russell and Dr. Rentschler. Just like, oh, yeah. The desperateness, I could feel, smell, and taste the desperateness through my headphones of Hank Brennan that last week. But yeah. Okay, that's interesting to know. I feel like I might have heard that, man, Shannon, but I'm not 100% certain. So thank you for sharing that. The RP game says prosecutors who lie and who knowingly put witnesses on the stand who lie should be prosecuted for deprivation of rights.
Well, no, that's not what they would get prosecuted for. Prosecutors who knowingly put a witness who's lying on the stand and eliciting that testimony get prosecuted for suborning perjury.
Yes.
That's what the Glossop U.S. Supreme Court case was about.
Yeah. That's why Glossop's, the Supreme Court ordered a new trial for Richard Glossop. Absolutely. That's a big deal, It's a case that we follow pretty closely here on this channel when there's news that breaks about the case with Richard Glossop. So when we read that the Supreme Court overturned, I can't remember the words, but overturned the verdict or overturned the death penalty, because Richard Glossop no longer is finally now, after how many 20 some odd years, 27, 28 years, is no longer on death row and is supposed to be getting a new trial in Oklahoma City. But okay, but I digress. There are some squirrels in my little space here, so I apologize. But I am also learning that it's nearly impossible to get what's the word I'm trying to say? The absolute or complete immunity, or whatever immunity it is that prosecutors have. We've seen, I know Cherie and I have seen cases where prosecutors have been, taken to court or lost their, bar license or whatever you want. But it's just so hard to do. It just seems like an impossible task. And let's face it, we know that nothing is going to happen to Hank Brennan. It's just not going to. Going back to this comment from ML, yes, some of the same players with the Karen Reed and Sandra Birchmore cases also are a part of the Brian Walsh, Anna Walsh murder case that's coming up quite soon, if I'm not mistaken. So I just, these people, well, Proctor's already been terminated, although he is appealing that termination. I'm sure everyone knows that already, but he is appealing that that termination through his FOP or whatever they call it in Massachusetts. So let's absolute immunity. Thank you. Suborning perjury. Oh, and by the way, hello to Michael Stetson, one of my great friends from Rob's channel and Off Label Podcast. And I also Michael Stetson is jumps into uncivil laws chat from time to time, and law of self-defense Andrew Branca. So thank you so much for taking time to be with us today. And yeah, we remember the ham sandwich. Oh my gosh, ham sandwich. I happened to watch Emily D. Baker later that day. I watched part of her show later that night, and she said, "This is a word I don't use hardly ever unless I'm really riled up." But to quote Emily D. Baker, she said, "God damn it, ham sandwich just entered the chat or entered the trial," or however her words were. She's like, "Are you kidding me?" I was like, but everybody was saying the same thing. So we were all like, ham sandwich. All right, here we go.
You know what drives me nuts about this statement? Looking at it, and it's something I didn't pick up on the first time I saw it. It is important to remember that the investigation into the death of John O'Keefe has been investigated with great scrutiny by both members of the State Police Internal Affairs and the FBI. To date, there is yet to be any information that this investigation was compromised in any way. You use snow blowers to blow the crime scene to look for evidence. I'm willing to bet the FBI looked at the state police and went, "Yeah, dude, you know, you're really not supposed to do that. That compromises the crime scene."
Yeah. You know what? Thank you, Rick. You're doing what I should be doing and paying attention to what we're trying to do. I can't help it. The comments in the chat are fabulous. So I'm very easily distracted by them. So I'll try to do both the best I can. Sheila, I do want to say this though. Sheila didn't watch the whole trial, or at least like gavel to gavel like a lot of us did, because she's probably a normal person, unlike myself, who works and takes care of her family and things like that. But anyway, so the ham sandwich incident is about. We'll tell you so you don't have to look it up. The ham sandwich incident was another desperate cross-examination by Hank Brennan during the defense's case, and he's cross-examining Dr. Rentschler in the most absurd and petty and unprofessional ways, and he's trying to get Rentschler to admit to something that he thinks is going to be a big gotcha. But anyway, he's asking him, what did you do when you went to that, when you got to the air, whatever they were. I think he was getting ready to fly back from the first trial. And he said, "I don't know. I probably sat down and had lunch with him," or whatever his words were. And Brennan might have said, "What did you have for lunch?" I can't remember because it's been a minute, but at any rate, it came out. Dr. Rentschler mentioned that I probably had a ham sandwich, and whatever. So he just said, "I had a ham sandwich." He's testifying under oath in what Hank Brennan thinks is a big fat gotcha moment, and said, "I had a ham sandwich." So it became a big deal, or it was a funny thing. It's just another stupid thing from Brennan, in my opinion. So, but we will get back to Emily D. Baker's commentary.
Okay. Careers have been lost. Families have been devastated. I agree with that part. And many lives have been changed forever. I agree with that part too. A good investigation would have really helped John O'Keefe's family not hopefully be as changed forever. But that's not who they're talking about, is it? As our current and former members, they're talking about Proctor. Are there other former members than Proctor? As our current and former members continue to be the subject of baseless accusations, it is important to remember that the investigation into the death of John O'Keefe has been investigated with great scrutiny. The T doesn't belong in there. With great scrutiny by both members of the State Police Internal Affairs and the FBI.
I love her soundboard.
To date, there is yet to be any information that this investigation was compromised in any way. We remain steadfast in our commitment to represent the men and women of the State Police Association and are forever grateful for the work our members do every day to serve the citizens of the Commonwealth. And then there's a graphic that goes with that. That's from 6/21/2025. Let's talk about this for a minute. Careers have been lost. First of all, careers have been lost. Do you know of anyone other than Proctor that was fired? But Proctor in his interviews, I know, minimal spoiler, Proctor in his interviews that we're going to get to, says that he's appealing and that the police association is appealing. So his union is appealing with him the decision to terminate him. We'll see how that goes. But I don't know why that's plural. I don't know what other careers have been lost, unless people chose to retire in lieu of being terminated. But that's sure a plural. I'd like to figure out who the plural applies to. And some of you in the chat are saying Karen lost her job. I don't.
Okay. So just, it looks like we have just on somebody who I miss so much. Thank you for checking in with us today. So I think we've kind of already talked about it, and Rick actually brought it up about, you know, the plurals of the careers, some careers and some members or whatever. And we kind of talked about that already. Because, yeah, I think we all, like I said, I didn't recognize that until I watched this from Emily D. Baker. And I was like, you know, for somebody who constantly is saying that words matter, I didn't pick up on that the first time I read it, but it's possible I was just reading with so much frustration and anger and disgust that maybe I, you know, just wasn't picking up on some of the nuances that really are important. So the next one that we'll move on to.
Wonder if they fired Diva Cop after the verdict.
I don't know.
Wonder if that's where the plural came from.
Maybe, yes, I would love nothing more. And I won't say Dever. To me, she is Dever, because anybody who's going to be that ignorant of, you know, with their attitudes and stuff. Thank you so much.
The commissioner said that she would, they would take care of her if she did the right thing or something like that.
Yeah, the right thing. Yeah. But yes, if anybody in the chat has heard, do the right thing. Yes. I'm proud of you, and do the right thing, rookie. But if anybody in the chat has heard, listen, even if it's not been proven, if you have a rumor that you would like to share, a little bit of gossip, if you've heard anything about Deaver since the trial, please let us know in the chat, because I'm dying to hear any kind of dirt gossip. I won't spread it, but I can't wait. I want to hear. I'm here for the dirt. So, yeah, if you've heard anything, some of you out there I can already see in the chat are connected. I want to know. We want to know what the dirt is. It was, I don't know. Let me just ask the panel this really quick, or Rick and Cherie, and all of you in the chat as well. This is going to be very, very difficult to narrow down to one. So I'm going to give you two. Your top one and your top number two, most, I'll just use the word hated person in either the first trial or the second trial. You get number one most hated and number two most hated, second most hated. Cherie, do you have an answer yet?
Hated by me?
Yeah, that you just despised, disgusted, you know.
Probably Proctor in the first one and Bev in the second, because she was in control of that stuff and she let it happen. I mean, as far as what went on in the courtroom.
Okay, fair. I like that. All right, thank you. Rick, what about you? Your top and your second most hated person in the first or second trials?
Oh, the second trial is easy. As much as everybody will think I'll say Brennan, no, the judge.
Yeah.
That judge did everything she could to force a guilty verdict. Yeah. And she was blatant about it. If you're going to signal the special prosecutor to object, try to be a little more circumspect in doing so. Taking your glasses off and staring at him with your finger on your cheek really is not the subtlest of signs.
Okay, yeah. And then who's your number two?
Proctor.
Proctor, okay.
The guy's a disgrace.
Yep, I agree. I agree because of the position, Bev, Auntie Bev, or whatever we're calling her. I call her evil, but
that's what evil. Larry calls her, Annie Bev.
Annie Bev, evil individual. I can't even put human, after that. That word, but anyway. So I would agree that. Definitely judge Bev, Auntie Bev. And for me, it's really, really hard. Like I said, I put these restriction on myself, but for me, I'm all of the other ones that have been named and all those that you guys are saying in the chat are completely 100% valid. But for me, it's Deaver, because as I watched her testify, I agree. There are so many. It's really hard to pin down because there's so many. But for me, it's Judge Bev and Deaver, because Judge Bev, for all the obvious reasons that you guys, Rick and Cherie, have stated, and others in the chat. But Deaver, because it was so, to me, blatantly obvious that she was just flat out lying about the whole false memory horse shit. Come the fuck on. Seriously? I was offended for people who truly do have mental health issues with false memories and the like. I was just, and I found it so despicable that she or anyone else would bend the knee to any law enforcement supervisor or chief or whatever. I cannot imagine a time or a place or a reason that I would ever be willing to compromise my own self-respect and morals and ethics. And I'm not over here with a halo around the top of my head. I'm not saying that, but to behave the way she did in front of the world, because the world was watching the trial, I just thought it was reprehensible, the way she answered questions and lied, like I said, to me so blatantly on the witness stand. And then, towards the end, to say, I will lose my job if I lie up here on the stand, or whatever it was she said. I was like, girl, you better be watching for fucking lightning strikes in the sky when you walk out, because I just feel so strongly that she lied about all of that. And the only thing I wish that could have been mentioned about Deaver during testimony was the fact that just because she looked at a altered time card or whatever it was, I don't for 1 second believe that she left Canton PD that day at whatever time she said, 3:45 or whatever time she said. I do not believe it. I don't believe it. And there is nothing that can make me believe what she said about the time that she left that day. With all of the lies and deceit and sneakiness that went on in this trial, especially this second trial, there is no reason for me to think for 1 second that she left when she says she left and that she had a false damn memory. So anyway, let's see. Yeah, she can never make an arrest and testify. I agree. Yeah, I completely agree. Yeah, how could they ever let her testify to anything ever again? It would just be okay. So we're going to move on to the next clip. I think this one's going to be too much. Okay, let's just start here.
Spam. It's not on us. It's on them. So, interesting, isn't it? Let's take a look at the statement issued by the head of Massachusetts State Police on behalf of the state police. Let me put this in reader mode. On behalf of state police, because we will go through that as well. This is coming to us from CBS News, from WBZ. Head of Massachusetts State Police responds to the Karen Read verdict. Massachusetts State Police Colonel Jeffrey Noble said that in the aftermath of the Karen Read case, the department will continue to work on improvements in oversight and accountability. Okay. How are we doing that? They go on to say, Noble issued a statement about the verdict on Thursday. Remember, the verdict was last Wednesday. The statement about the verdict was issued on Thursday. That would have been, Emily, do you need to pull up a calendar? Yeah, I don't even know what day it is today. I think I said it was the 24th. It's Tuesday, I hope. But that would have been the 19th. Those are just how it was captured. The professionalism is a problem. Court training and courtroom testimony. Okay. Good. And remember, this is Massachusetts State Police, different from Boston PD, different from Canton. We went over the Canton not investigation, audit. We went over the Canton audit a bit together, and they were like, oh, hey, you don't really have policies in this area, and maybe you need like kits to gather evidence.
I'm really grateful for the little thing that drops down from the top of my toolbar that says mic muted. So I know when I'm yakking away and my mic's muted. But anyway, this is why I love Rick, because I can take his little chuckles and laughs at me, and they don't offend me because he's right. I am at some times in some ways I can be a little goofy. So anyway, but yes, this was, I believe, I believe he's the new chief, or fairly new, or definitely, and I believe he was out of state, out of the area. He was brought in from another state or county or whatever. And so, while some of the things that he says in his statement are legit, like, yeah, those things all need to be done, all training and all the, everything, it all needs to be done because your public trust is pucked in a bad, bad way. So, hopefully, Sheila, I love you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Listen, if I can't laugh at myself, I'm going to be in trouble because I'll be all sorts of offended all the time if I can't just laugh at myself. But so everything he's saying the right things, in my opinion. But I can't. But there's no way. There's no way that those words are going to mean anything if the people in Boston or Massachusetts State Police or the citizens, the Commonwealth, whatever the fuck these people call themselves, they're unless they see the words on that page become a reality, it's not going to matter. None of that's going to matter. What do you have? What do you think, Rick? Does that sound about right? Hello? Am I muted?
Here.
Oh,
no,
okay.
You're not. I'm here. I'm
You're thinking,
pondering
okay.
how to say this diplomatically.
Oh, please. There's nothing diplomatic about this channel. You're fine. Oh, I know, but you're a professional, so
I don't know that pulling your officers aside and saying, don't say stupid stuff in text messages and pass around naked photos of suspects falls under the category of case management and reporting.
Rick, make sure your comment is important and not mind-numbingly boring, because we're not bringing anything new to this. Just so you know. Thank you for your comment, Dana Lindsay. I appreciate the feedback.
This is the guy that came in last year, right? Yeah, October 2024. So hopefully he's taking this seriously and is actually upping the training and making sure they're doing things ethically and the correct way. I just don't see that. I need to see some evidence that that's happening before I'll believe it.
Yeah, same. That's how I feel. Ask Bob says, I live in Canton, a block down from J.O. Key's home. People in town are afraid to call the police. Thank God I don't know what that's like, but they're afraid to call the police because of retaliation, corruption, or those kinds of things. Bob, is that what you? I mean, that's what makes sense to me, but and for those who weren't here at the very beginning, or who didn't read the description of what we were going to be talking about today, none of us are professional in these particular fields as it is. Cherie is an attorney, but she is a landlord-tenant attorney, as among other things. And Rick has just about every other field of expertise, including law enforcement and things like that. But I don't believe any of us have ever been criminal defense attorneys. We're just here talking about our opinions, and we're just rapping about some shit that things that stuck out to us during the trial. So you don't have to be here and be interested in that. I respect that. I appreciate that. But that is the very description of what we were going to talk about today. So if, we're not here to bring new information or share anything, new and exciting than what's already been done. I don't do that. I don't have any of those connections, number one. Number two, we just want this to be a hang loose conversation, and that's all it is. So maybe next time, read the description of what we're going to be talking about. Clerk says, Deaver, 1, I have no relation to this case. I don't even know why I'm here. 2, my entire job revolves around what I say on the stand right now. If I was to lie, I lose my job. I lose everything. Thank you for those direct quotes, Clerk, because I know I was butchering it. But thank you for sharing that with us. TJ, who I just loved and adored for so many years, says, I don't know anything about this case. Laptop died and had to use up data on my phone. So it's all new to you, right, TJ? So thank you for being here and listening to something you know nothing about. We appreciate it. Okay, any other comments on this particular part or anything that's being said in the chat, Rick or Cherie? Okay. Let me find the next part. Oh, go ahead, Cherie.
I said I'm good.
Okay. Okay, the next clip we're going to listen to is despicable to me. Let me grab those timestamps here. This is just, it's just a really bizarre situation in Canton to
me. Are you
me.
surprised? No, of course Canton has something to say. I'm not surprised that Canton has something to say. Let's take a look at the statement from the Canton Select Board Chair, John McCourt. I don't have background mode on because it's not an article. It's just on their website. The following statement. The following is a statement. The following is an emergency message. I'm going to now split our chat by who remembers that happening on their televisions growing up. The following is an emergency message. The following is a statement from Canton Select Board Chair John McCourt. The town of Canton acknowledges today's verdict in the Commonwealth's case against Karen Reed. Okay. The town respects the legal process. I mean,
really quick. Thank you, Rick, for chuckling out loud and on camera. Emily's face says she really doesn't have to really say words very often because her face gives her away. So that's one of the other things that I like about her.
I mean, what was the alternative? They say we refuse to acknowledge the verdict?
Yeah.
That is going to be the dumbest opening statement I have ever heard.
Yeah. Well, but it gets, Hank Brennan kind of gets us there, right? That's coming up next. That's coming up shortly. So, but yeah. Yeah, honestly, I can't think of a time, and I listen, I'm not all wrapped up and involved in my local government or my state government in those types of ways where I'm, going to board meetings or school board meetings or city board or anything. I haven't done that, but I do kind of try to pay attention to local, things that are going on in my local government and things like that. But I've never seen like a board of whatever kind of board. It's not, I don't know what they call them here, just different boards that we have. I've never seen any kind of a response about a trial. And even though I live in, little, what people seem to still believe, saintly, perfect, Christ-like Utah, we're normal people here too. we're just a smaller population, but we have all the same shit that goes on around the rest of the country. And we have recently, within the last 6 months, I believe, executed 2 death row inmates. We had a shooting and a killing on the night of No Kings on June 14th. And the very next night, or 2 nights later, there were 4 people, including an unborn baby, who were shot and killed at one of our biggest festivals just a few miles up north from me. So we have the same kinds of things, the same kind, but I just have never seen any of the different kinds of boards of anything come out and make a statement about a verdict on a jury trial. That's just me.
No, usually the prosecutor will,
go ahead.
Maybe the defense, but not the town board.
Right. Yeah. Like I said, I was going to say maybe they do, but I've just never, I think that's something I would notice if they did. And it's not anything I've ever noticed. There were several reports for a couple of days for, a news cycle or a little more after the executions. And, we're still getting information, a couple times a week about the person that was killed in Salt Lake City on June 14th. We're still getting information from that. The guy's funeral was just held, I want to say yesterday, or, memorial or whatever. And there's still, the person who did the killings at the festival, West Fest, it was West Valley City where this festival is held every year. At the carnival, the person who did the shooting and the killing was a 16-year-old. So yeah, that's going to be in the news for a minute. Lots of stuff coming down. So, I've never seen it. I've never seen anything like what Canton Select Board did here. I just shut up. Just sit down and shut your mouth, because there are people on your select board who are not good people, and you know that, and you allow that. So I have no interest in hearing anything that this board had to say, but yet, we had to hear it anyway. Because they, for whatever reason, felt like they had to weigh in, I guess. I don't know. So, I'll let Emily finish with her thoughts, since that's what she's there for.
The select board, the town respects the legal process and the role of the jury in weighing the facts and rendering a verdict. We thank the members of the jury for their service and attention over the past several weeks. This case has been subject to intense public interest, scrutiny, and speculation for 3 years. Our community has been deeply affected. Well, I don't doubt that. Today's outcome may bring a sense of relief to some and continue to raise questions for others. We encourage members of the community to move forward together, treating one another with respect through civil, constructive dialogue. Not a single word about John O'Keefe. Okay. The town of Canton acknowledges today's verdict. Okay. It's an interesting statement. I think maybe running this statement through somebody else maybe would have helped. Maybe giving it a day or two. Maybe saying, I don't know. Maybe just acknowledging, not just acknowledging the verdict, but maybe a little optimism that the jury has spoken.
Excuse me. I really want to play everything that she says during this because I feel like it's some of her most important commentary. I'm not going to do that. I think I mean I can put the link to this particular episode in the chat. If anybody's interested, but she goes on to say during this part, talking about how if regardless of what the Canton Select Board said here in this statement, they didn't, like she says, they didn't mention John O'Keefe. They didn't even, and Raf says, they never cared about John O'Keefe anyway. The more, like, when you watch the trial, both trials, especially this second trial, it was very clear to me, to my mind, that none of this was about John O'Keefe. It was just not about John O'Keefe. It was about the corruption being protected, and all of those who are corrupt and were involved in any of this. I just like when I'm not going to play this part of Emily's show that she did on this, but she's going to play parts of the video that the McAlberts did. The same night, I think, of the verdict, or the next night after the verdict, that despicable interview they did with the the soft pillow provided to them by the Gutman guy, the interviewer. That just, Brian Albert, from what I saw, from what part of that I saw, Brian Albert says something to the effect, we're not protected. The system let us down again. We've been let down by the system, or whatever his words were. I'm very much paraphrasing. But when I heard him say that the system let us down, or the system didn't protect us, or whatever the words were he used, doesn't matter, because it wasn't about us. It wasn't about, this trial wasn't about them. And it pissed me off when he said that. I don't know if that is just, what we saw that night is just part of a bigger interview that was done, because it disgusted me enough. And the interviewer, Gutman, whatever his first name was, disgusted me enough. And then Proctor putting his little parts of the interview in there disgusted me enough that I was like, I have no reason, no desire, no want to watch anything if there's a bigger interview out there, because I just was so angry by it, so angered by it, that I just didn't want to watch the whole thing. So if there was anything more said before or after what was shown that first night, I don't know about it. But some of the things that he said, and listen, I think a lot can be said about that interview. So let's just talk about that interview for a little bit. Move Emily off the screen, and we're just going to talk about that 2020 or Nightline or whatever interview that was. It was perhaps the most insensitive thing I saw from anybody that night. And Brian Albert disgusted me, and Chris Albert disgusted me. And I would just like to hear thoughts from Cherie and Rick about how they felt about that particular interview. But I want to read this comment first really quick from Jen. Jen, thank you for being here. I appreciate you dropping in and hanging out and commenting with us. Jen said, DA fat ass and all the McAlberts need to be arrested and prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law, ! Karen needs to sue the state of Massachusetts for all that she can get for this bullshit, ! Again. Yeah, I agree. I completely agree, Jen. I think most, I shouldn't speak for anybody else, but I feel like most of us here would agree with you. So let's just talk about this interview, though, with the McAlberts. I would really like to hear verbally how the two of you feel, how you two of you felt about that.
I thought it was sickening. And I haven't sat and watched the whole thing, but I've seen a lot of clips of it. And it was just in very poor taste.
Oh, it was disgusting.
Yeah.
They spent almost the entire time acting like they were victimized advocates of John's.
Yeah.
It was just absolutely disgusting.
Yeah, I agree. I've missed a lot. Oh my goodness,
Well, we have to remember though that Brian is not police. He's Boston police.
Boston PD. Yeah.
They can't help each other apparently.
Yeah, I just
take care of John,
that was one of the most irresponsible, dumb comment that you could never take back because it's out there in the universe now for the rest of life on Earth. That was one of the most insane things I have ever. Rick, well, let me. Jen, again, I'm trying to catch back up on some of the comments. Says justice for Officer John O'Keefe needed to be served, and we all know that it wasn't. 100%. Karen went through hell over their disrespectful investigation, and they need to all be fired immediately. I wish that could happen. Yeah, thank you very much for that. For saying that. Navin says, Albert didn't say to tell them the guy never came in the house. No, that was Matt McCabe in the family text message that said, tell him the guy never went in the house. And Brian Albert said, nope, or yep, or whatever his one-word response was. I think it was yep. No, I didn't think that Matt McCabe ever or that Brian Albert ever said that. If I said that's how it happened, I apologize. But no, it wasn't Brian Albert. It was definitely Matt McCabe who said that. Let's see. Nathan said Matt McCabe didn't say it that way either. Listen, I don't have that text message from the transcript right in front of me, but to the very best of my remembrance, and most people that come here to our channel on a regular basis, especially Rick and Cherie, know that my memory isn't the best. But his words in that text message were very, very close, except for maybe a word or two that I'm screwing up here. Tell him the guy never went in the house. And Brian Albert responded, yep. That's how I remember it. If the two of you can remember it a different way, or anybody in the chat, please let me know. Anyway, so I mean, but if that's how you heard it and remember it, then like I said, I don't have it in front of me, so I don't know for sure. But to minimize,
yeah, I don't either. I'm trying to find it. I can't remember exactly what it said.
Yeah, and it really doesn't. I mean, word for word, exact quote. I don't know if for me. It's not really important because of the whole idea behind it, in my opinion, is just very shady and scandalous and sneaky. I don't know. That's just my opinion, though. So, but I appreciate, I appreciate Navin for bringing that up. And let's see. And okay, yeah, there's more. I mean, I'm not here to argue or say somebody's right or somebody's wrong. I can only speak with my opinion. So, it looks like a new name that I also am not familiar with, but am very happy to have you here, and you're very welcome to be here. Thank you. And Ron TDB says, Matt McCabe, quote, tell them the guy never went in the house, end quote. That's how I remember it. But, you know, again, it really, the exact words are not as much of the important thing to me. He said something that was just really shady, scandalous, and sounded really sneaky, in my opinion. So, you know, that's just my opinion. And Naven says that his exact text was just, the guy never came in the house, right? No command. Okay. All right. Like I said, I don't remember for sure what the exact text message was presented in court.
Okay, I've got it right here.
Okay.
It was from Matt McCabe. It was to Jennifer McCabe, Coco, and Uncle BNANA.
Brian, yeah.
And it says, eating, I assume. Ask Chris to ask some questions. Tell them the guy never went in the house.
And then what was the response, Rick? Do you have the response by Brian?
I'm trying to get a screenshot of this, and then I'll scroll down and.
Okay. Anyway, so you know, listen, I just for anybody in the chat, anybody who listens to this now
Uncle
or
Brian
later,
responded exactly.
Exactly. I said the wrong word. I said yep. His word was exactly. So thank you, Rick, for finding that and reading that for us. So again, regardless of every exact word, it just for a group of people who went on TV the very night or the very next night after the verdict to, you know, go out and cheerlead for themselves in the way that they did was just really so disrespectful, in my opinion, because it wasn't about, you know, John O'Keefe and justice for him or for his family. You know, regardless of how anybody might feel about Peg O'Keefe and Paul O'Keefe, you know, they're humans. Peggy is a mom who lost not only one, but two of her children. I'm a mom who's lost my youngest son who's passed away. Paul O'Keefe is a man who has lost both of his siblings that he had to death. And, you know, so I also have lost one of my siblings to death. What am I saying? You know, my brother, one of my brothers has passed away, and my youngest son has passed away. So I see them as humans in that way. They're humans, and you know, I regardless of how you feel about them or what you think they said or did or how they feel or whatever, I can't see them that way because I kind of can walk in their shoes, and I understand, you know, what parents who lose a child or individuals who lose a sibling, I understand what that feels like. And those are a couple of different clubs that nobody wants to be in, no matter, including our worst. I don't want my worst enemies in those clubs. They're just not those are not the things that I want to have in common with people. So anyway, yeah. So anyway, there's, you know, those are just some of my thoughts about, you know, how, because I know there's a lot of vitriol that I've read, which I don't agree with any of it, no matter which side you're on. Harassment, vitriol, threats, some of the horrible stuff I've seen on Twitter and you know, other YouTube channel comment sections and things. I'm just mind-boggling the way that other humans treat other humans. I always have been aware, you know, of our society like declining as far as humanity goes. It's been, you know, the older I get, the more aware of it I am. But some of these things are just in your face, and I get it. This is all on a keyboard or a phone or whatever. I get it. So people are saying things that, they probably or might not ever say in public to somebody else. I get that, but that doesn't lessen, to me, that does not lessen the inhumanity that I've seen over the last week or so, last couple of weeks, really. So anyway, but I just can't get over how self-serving that video was. And I missed the comment. I might have put it up, but I don't remember if I did. But I can't remember who said it. Someone said something about them doing that interview, I guess, to excuse themselves or whatever, but it didn't help them in any way. It absolutely didn't. Crying and the whining is what it seemed like to me. It just felt like whining and crying over, we lost, but it wasn't, they didn't lose jack shit. They didn't lose anything. They've lost their credibility. And yeah, Chris Albert was right. They are caricatures because they've done that to themselves, in my opinion. So I'm just trying to think of some of the things that Brian Albert said, because really nobody else really, I don't know if it wasn't that they weren't allowed to speak very much, or if they just didn't want to speak very much, or if I just haven't seen a bigger interview that this is just a part of. I don't know any of that, but it just looked to me like everybody was looking to Brian Albert before they would respond, or to check and make sure their response was, okay. It just looked like it just reminded of, I just had Mafia running through my head, or, something like that, The Sopranos running through my head. Like, is it all right if I say this, or I'm not going to say anything until you give me the signal? That's just how I felt watching that interview. So I'll let Cherie and Rick have a go at that interview.
Yeah, I really don't know what to say about it.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, what can you say? You really can't say anything. I just was going to say that Rick is also, for those of you who don't know, has been in law enforcement as well. So I can't even imagine. I can't imagine Rick saying something so ridiculous as, why would I, however he said it, not trying to quote anything here, paraphrasing, but why would I go out and look at what's going on in the lawn at John O'Keefe? I'm a Boston cop. This is Canton. I'm a Boston cop. Why would I go out there? I'm like, I was just thinking, and then he made the comment about, what do you want me to do? Run out there in my underwear and run crime scene tape around? Yes, please. Listen, you guys, I'm telling all of my friends, people who care about me, people who, like me, love me, whatever, even if you don't like me, if I'm laying dead or dying in your front yard in the middle of winter, please, please, please run out to the front yard in your underwear if that's what you need to do to see if I'm going to be okay. Please, just asking. You don't have to. Anyway, I'm just trying to, but that's just how ridiculous that statement sounded to me. I'm a Boston cop, not a Canton cop, and I live in Canton. Why would I go out there and look? And what should I do?
Because it's your property.
And John O'Keefe is a cop. You're a cop. You're both Boston cops. But he was trying to be considerate of the department that was investigating. Despicable. Just one of the most ridiculous things he could have said. Listen, I think people who aren't even really familiar with law enforcement SOPs or the law or anything at all in general, I think even the most simple, uneducated about all things law and crime would just assume that a human being would, if a human being lived in that house they would want to be out in that yard seeing what the hell is going on.
I sure as heck would be running out there to see what's going on. I'm not a first responder, but you know, if there was something I could do, I don't know.
Yeah.
Look, I have a couple of different certifications in the medical field. That doesn't mean my responsibility to help somebody ends when I walk outside the door of the hospital I worked at. If somebody is injured, I help them. I still do.
Yeah. Exactly. Why wouldn't you? Because, not just because, though, Rick, you're a first responder on several different levels. Again, just because of we're humans, man. We're humanity. Humanity. I can't, doctors and nurses who have a known criminal or somebody they know to have committed a major crime, murder, rape, whatever it is, they still help. They have a duty to their oath, their Hippocratic oath, to treat that person. I don't have that duty. I mean, I am trained in CPR and first aid. I don't know if I would be any good at it if I needed to go, but every other thing that might be afflicting me personally with my health, that would all be gone out of my brain. I would be doing whatever I could to help somebody. I can't help that my mind thinks that way. And I think most people's minds think that way. I really do. I believe we are still a society of good human beings. So, which just makes it even more ridiculous that Brian Albert said what he said live on that show. Another new name who I have seen in other chats, but not seen in our chat. Welcome, Miss Reed. You're all set. I love all of these references to the trial. Some of the things that just really stick with us, right? So welcome, Miss Reed. You're all set to the chat and to the channel. She says, quote, "Tell them the guy never came in the house, Matt McCabe," exactly from Brian Albert. Yes. Thank you for sharing that with us as well. And again, thank you for being here. And
I put
all
those
of you
screenshots in the group chat on Discord.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right. I appreciate that. For all of you who are you've never been to our channel before, of course, I ask you to subscribe, but this is the only time I'm probably really going to talk about the Karen Reed case. We'll be back to, mostly Daniel Holtzclaw content very, very soon. But if you would, please like the video, and help it get through the YouTube BS. Sorry, YouTube algorithm. Which reminds me, I'm way behind in comments, but I did want to do this really quick. If I'm able to. Whoops, not that. Oh, I don't guess I have any left. Okay. All right. Well, I don't have any left. I was going to do something, but I'm not able to right now. But I'm going to do this anyway, just because why not? Oh, I do have it.
I will be right back, folks.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Rick. Sorry, I'm definitely all over the place right now. So, let's see. Okay. Anyway, the interview. So yes, the McAlbert's interview and then Proctor's interview were just despicable. So I'll go ahead and bring back up Miss Emily D. Baker, and I'll see if I can find the time stamp for, okay, yes, here we go. Okay, I know that a lot of you are here for this. I'm letting Emily read it and talk about it because she's very good at these things. So I'm going to find the timestamp and let her do it. Okay. So what we're going to do now is we're going to let Emily play. I'm going to play what Emily had to say about Brennan's statement, which even though I am not an attorney, I've never been an attorney or anything like that, I can swear, I can say to you that I also, like everybody else, thought this was incredibly unethical and very, I think Mark Betterow, who I really enjoy listening to, have a lot of respect for. I think he really said it the best. This is the most unethical form of misconduct by an attorney that he's ever heard. So, and I've heard several other law tube attorneys say the same thing. So, I'm going to let Emily's statement of this play, and we'll talk about
Just
it.
take a deep breath. Just deep breath, everybody. Deep breath. We're going to talk about Attorney Brennan's statement. I need another coffee because we haven't even gotten to Proctor yet. Haven't even gotten to Proctor. All right. I am grabbing this from Ted Daniel. This is from yesterday morning. Emily, what did you do yesterday morning? Try to sleep.
This, let me see how long this has been. I'm trying to figure out how long ago Emily D. Baker did this, and in case any of you haven't seen it. She did this on June 24th, a few days after the verdict. So this is at least 5 days old, almost, however long since where I'm playing it from. So I just wanted to let you guys know in the context of times that she's talking about.
Don't remember what day it was and figure out why my knee hurts so bad. It's just because you're old, girl. It's just because you're old. I thought I turned off all my notifications on this. I guess I haven't. We'll do that in a minute. Good morning, Ted said. This is a statement from Special Prosecutor Hank Brennan on the Karen Reed verdict. I am disappointed. Okay, I'm reading this. Everyone who's listening in the background, one more time, we are reading Attorney Brennan's statement. I'm actually surprised he gave a statement. He's not going to interview, but I'm surprised he gave a statement. I am disappointed in the verdict and the fact that we could not achieve justice for John O'Keefe and his family. I have thoughts. I will come back to them because if we go sentence by sentence, we're never going to get to the other interviews. I promise you, we will never get to the other interviews. District Attorney Michael Morrissey appointed me. Why? Giving me full discretion to independently assess the case and follow the evidence no matter where it led. So how did we get here? After an independent and thorough review of all the evidence, I concluded that the evidence led to one person and only one person. I'm fighting the urge to just give commentary sentence by sentence. But on this point, I must digress. There are plenty of cases where that may be true. That the prosecutor in charge, the district attorney in charge, the elected DA might conclude that the evidence led to one person and only one person. But you then have to take the next step and determine that can be proven to a jury beyond a reasonable doubt. So even if Brennan believes that the evidence only pointed one direction, you still have to take a step back and say, but can I prove it? Even if that's what you think. I'm not going to argue with his opinion on the evidence. Even if that's what you think, there is one more step to that conversation. And that is, can you prove it? And the job of a prosecutor is, even if you believe it and you cannot prove it, you cannot proceed forward. But alas, that's not where we're at today. Nope, I got to make myself a little smaller. I'm going to just cut off all the words. Special Prosecutor Brennan said, quote, I concluded that the evidence led to one person and only one person. Neither the closed federal investigation nor my independent review led me to identify any other possible suspect or person responsible for the death of John O'Keefe. He is using the closed federal investigation to do some lifting here that I don't think it's that sentence's job to lift. Because I don't think the federal investigation, and this is speculative on my part, and after we read the statement from the police association, I don't think they were investigating to try to find an alternate suspect. I think, based on everything that we've seen, that they were investigating to see if there was bias in the investigation, if there was impropriety in the investigation, if it was a thorough investigation. Not that they were trying to say some other dude did it. Those are two very different things. And he kind of just lumped them all together there, didn't he? Y'all, I see some of you requesting to go code red. If we go code red now, we have nowhere left to go. And we haven't gotten to Proctor yet. I feel like we're going to need it. I'm amenable to green.
Move past
I
this
don't know if this is
can.
encompassing all of it. Because he doesn't mention anything specifically. But we'll see. That's like a schooner or a sailboat. Some of you know what I'm talking about. Some of you are like, what the? I know. Squinty fuzzy dot ones. I don't know if this is encompassing all of it. Because he doesn't mention anything specifically. But we'll see. He goes on to say, we cannot condone witness abuse. Well, can we, or the jurors, or the participants, or the accused, or the victim's family, like everybody, not just witnesses, everybody. The experts, everyone. It should be participants. We cannot condone witness abuse causing participants to worry for their own safety or that of their families. Any of the participants, any of them, period. It is my hope that with the verdict, the witnesses and their families will be left alone. Also, the accused.
I just have to make sure, since I don't have permission yet, I don't want to end up getting a copyright use strike or something. So I'm going to have to stop and make some commentary, which is not hard for me because I always have something to say. So, yeah, I mean, it's just really hard to comment on Brennan's statement because it's just so, you guys help me. I need a new word. I need a new word that's never been used before, hasn't been created yet. I need new words to describe how much anger and disrespect and vitriol that I have for Hank Brennan right now. I don't have a word in my vocabulary. If you have one in your vocabulary, or you can find me one or some words that I can start using, please let me know. Put them in the chat or put them in the comment section below later. I'm out of words. I'm out of words to express how all of this entire statement makes me feel. Sheree, Rick, help me. What words? I need words.
I got nothing. What about you, Rick?
The first word that comes to mind in regards to him is sleazy.
Unconscionable. You know what, Michael? I can't even spell that word, so good on you. Yeah, that's a good one. Thank you. Revolting, another good one. Thank you so much. I think I can spell revolting. Might have to stop and think about it. I'm just teasing. Yes, Hank defended Whitey Bulger because I think everyone knows that Hank Brennan is actually a criminal defense attorney. If you know, as far as I know, as far as been you know discussed. Jonah, I know that I saw you comment earlier, and I'm so sorry I didn't say hello to you. But yes, despicable is another one. Um, so thank you for sharing that. Sore loser, yeah, it's Mads, and Mads, I don't recognize your name, but thank you so much for being here and joining us and contributing to this conversation. And Jen says clown, yeah, clown, all those words, but I need a new one. I need new ones. Jen says douchebag, yep. You know what I don't think I have said yet, my favorite word or phrase regarding Hank Brennan is dickhole. I mean, you guys all know that dickhole is usually my go-to. So maybe I'm just gonna have to be happy with that. He's just a dickhole. That's just all there is to it. You know, I mean, repulsive is another good one. Maybe I'll all of your words. Thank you guys so much for helping me. Like my own little chat box of thesaurus. Help. You know, I've never even heard that before. It's kind of hard to see through the video, but Michael Stetson says dish canoe fits, but it's nowhere near original. Dick nozzle. Yeah. Thank you guys. Thank you so much for the help. I asshat is another one that I enjoy quite a lot. So yeah, there's just no anything I can say to describe how deplorable and vile this individual is. Hey, you guys are on a roll now. Cocksucker. Oh my goodness, you're funny. You guys are funny. Michael Stetson says that he called him Wank Brennan during the trial. I like it. Let's see. Miss Reed says if Karen had hired Hank, he would have defended this case the exact same way. Twat waffle is a good word. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Thank you. You guys are making me happy right now. Oh goodness. And let's see here. Under your scars says I told Turtle Boy needs new merch crying towel for Bev and Brennan. Yeah, crying towels. That's what they need. Oh yeah. Anyway, okay, so let's go ahead and let Emily finish telling us how she feels about this statement from Hank Brennan.
Also, the jurors. Oh, he doubles down. The harassment of these innocent victims and family members is deplorable and should never happen again in a case in this Commonwealth. Brennan, if people are doxing people, aren't there privacy laws in Massachusetts that can be used? What about the ARCA witnesses? What about any of the witnesses? The DA's office should go after all of it then. Go after all of it. I don't think they will. But they should. On all sides. Where it's happening.
So, Sheree, I don't recall, it says they can use the same towel Yuri uses for dancing. Gross, but yeah.
Yeah, gross
Gross,
is a
but
good word.
Huh?
I said, yeah, gross is a good word.
Yeah. Like I think I told you yesterday, Sheree, last night, or in a message, I have seen that video clip go around. You know, I don't know where, just different social media things. It looks like Yuri Buchanan. I don't know. I guess I don't have any reason to doubt that it is him. I mean, I really don't know, but you know, it's funny. No matter what, it's fucking funny. So, anyway, yeah, I think that video is very interesting. I'd like to know more about it. I'd like to know if it is, you know, proven to be true. But you know, I would like to know more about that video. And Under Your Scars says, you may not like Turtle Boy, but he's protecting our rights, and we all need to see that. Brennan badgered witnesses, as did Bev. Yeah, I agree. I can take I like Turtle Boy, and I am so grateful for, you know, what he's done for the First Amendment, for freedom of speech, especially as a journalist. You know, from him being a journalist, coming from him, but also he's just taught and brought out so much what I believe to be factual information and proof, and to see that he is the one, you know, when you're listening to the statement from Brennan, and then trying to juxtapose that with what the Commonwealth is trying to do to Turtle Boy right now is disgusting. Again, more words. I need more. All the words you already put in the chat. It's just horrific. Turtle Boy right now is the one who is being persecuted and hunted, like fucking hunted. I feel like he's being hunted, and it's just really disgusting. And you know, I can't hope enough for him. You know, I did watch his last trial that he just recently had, and I know he goes back to, I think he has a hearing, I believe, on July 7th, or his trial starts. I can't remember which one it is, and I know somebody there in the chat's going to know. But I know something is going on the 7th of July for Turtle Boy. Listen, I believe at the end of the day, Turtle Boy has a good heart. Aiden Carney, whatever, has a good heart, has a big heart, and he is desperately trying to save, you know, protect the First Amendment. But he is, in his heart, is his being a dad is the most important thing to him, and it broke my heart. I just watched Nurse Kim. If you guys, I know a lot of you probably watch her. As I was getting ready for today's live stream, I listened to her stream that she did this morning, and I was listening to Turtle Boy, you know, at some point when they were talking about whatever that whole other drama is that I'm not involved in, know nothing about, and I'm better for it. But I just felt so bad for him every time I see him or hear him talk about how much he does not how much he has to stay out of jail right now, uh, and why that's so important. Besides all the obvious reasons, it really comes down to him desperate to not ever lose his family again, his kids. And I just think it's heartbreaking. I mean, what they did to Karen Reed for the last 3 years is already heartbreaking and evil. It's just evil. What they're doing now to Turtle Boy, Aiden Carney, is, I don't want to say it's worse or almost worse even, but the reasons that they're trying to put him in jail or prison are the most egregious reasons I can possibly imagine. And I just can't, my mind can't comprehend it. I just can't understand it. So yes, thank you to everyone in the chat. 7/7 at 2 p.m. Thank you, Carrie. I'll definitely be, I'm sure one of the other law tubers will be streaming that if it's allowed. I don't know if that's, I think it'll be allowed. I don't know. I know he's had a couple of hearings at work. But anyway, definitely will be watching for that. Giving Turtle Boy the support I can. Okay. Anyway, Rick, Sheree, anything on Aiden Carney? Nope. Okay.
It just bugs me
well,
that to hear the Alberts and the McCabe's whining about, oh, you know, we've been picked on, but that's the same law of witness harassment or intimidation applies. You know, they're applying it heavily to Turtle Boy, but what about, you know, what they've done and their minions?
and their minions, yes.
Yeah, like persecuting Karen Reed for a couple of years.
You know what? You're right, Sheree. Thank you for saying that, because there is a difference between prosecuting and persecuting. Absolutely, obviously. And that's what came to my mind several times during both trials, especially in the, well, not especially, but in the first trial, when I finally got to a point in the first trial where I was like, wait a minute, something ain't right here. Because again, remember, I said at the very beginning, I didn't know anything about this case, Karen Reed's case, until the first day of trial. I didn't know anything about it. So as I'm watching the first trial and I'm listening to things, I'm like, well, besides the fact that Lally was just so annoying, but now I would rather have Lally back than fucking Hank Brennan. How bad is that? But anyway, I mean, he definitely lied and Brady violated all over the place too, obviously. But anyway, yeah, it was just when I started realizing something's not right, and my opinion from having no opinion on guilt or innocence began to change. Like, wow, I don't like that my mind is going this way. But you know, before the trial was, before the state even got it, or before the defense even got their case, I was like, I don't know, man, this just doesn't sound right. Something's not right with this trial. What is, you know, now of course, you know, having watched and listened to all of it and then gone through all this second trial, it was impossible to have an open mind. I wanted to hear something new that would be, you know, make, you know, perhaps have an effect in you know, possibly changing. Not that I wanted to change my mind, but because by the end of trial one, I definitely believed this girl was innocent, not just not guilty, but innocent. But Sheree, to your point about prosecution and persecution, what they did to Karen Reed in both trials, from the very beginning, from from January 29th, 2022 till even through today, in my opinion, has been persecution. And the same with Turtle Boy.
I got that statement from Melanie Little, because she called it the persecution of Karen Reed.
Oh, okay.
So that's where I got that. And I agree.
Yeah, it is. It's been a persecution, not a prosecution. And like I said, that word did cross my mind many times, especially during the second trial. They were persecuting her, not prosecuting her. And they're doing the same thing to Turboy. They have been, and they still are. And I can't understand how people can live in that commonwealth or township or city or wherever, whatever it is. I don't know how they can still live there. And from what I'm hearing, people believe, not necessarily supporters of Morrissey, but they just are so familiar with the corruption and so expecting the corruption that they even though they plan to try to help get what's his name Morrissey, out of the DA's office, I'm just seeing so many people feeling already defeated, like there's no way that the corrupt system in that county is going to allow anybody else but Morrissey to be elected. And I just find that horrible. Now, Rick, Cherie, and I can say that we know it's possible, even though none of us live in Oklahoma City. That was something that I watched Oklahoma City's DA's race. What was it, 4 years ago now, 3 years ago, whatever it was. We watched the debates and we watched the election night for Oklahoma City because of the person who was running for DA. And we knew that there was no way that Galen Gigger could be elected to DA. At least that's how we felt, and that was our opinions. And I didn't have very much hope myself, but he did lose the primaries, and he is not the DA, so it is possible. It's very possible for that to happen, but he was eventually, after the DA's race was over and he completely was out of it, he is now Deputy Attorney General. So anyway, that's a whole other case and stuff that a lot of you don't really know about, but you should, but you don't, and that's okay. I missed a comment here. Jen, what is it that is there something going on tonight at 7 p.m. that we should be aware of?
Turtle Boy is going to be on with Andrea Burkhart.
Oh, very, very nice. Yes, we love Andrea too. Or I know Cherie and I do. So yeah, well, it's not quite that late, but it's getting there for those of you on the East. So is that 7 p.m.? She's West Coast. So is that 7 p.m. her time? Okay. All right. Call.
It's 8 o'clock. I think it's 7 or 8 o'clock now. I'm going to have to look for, Eastern.
It's 5:27 Eastern right now.
No, but I mean, when is Andrea's?
They're set in the chat. They said 7 p.m., but I don't know if that's specific time or what. So if somebody knows, let us know. We'll actually, Cherie, if you want to look for her link for tonight and drop it in the chat, that's fabulous as well.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now.
Okay. Ron TDB says 8 p.m. Eastern. And so we'll find out for sure. And then Oh Snap Sharon. Hi, Oh Snap Sharon. It's great to have you in the chat. And thank you for being here with us and participating. We really appreciate it. And Oh Snap Sharon says that the Glarer is on at 5:30 tonight. Yeah, I'm sure he's going to be. We'll try to find those, the links to those specific live streams, and we'll put them in the chat for you guys. But it looks like there are some things that are coming.
8 p.m. Eastern, 7 Central.
Okay.
I got the link for it right here. She already has it listed. Okay. I'll post it in the chat.
Thank you.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you so much, Rick. And Rick's going to put that in the chat for you guys that want to watch that in just a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and finish with Emily D. Baker's comments about this statement by Hank Brennan.
But it should start with protecting the jurors. And at the end, he closes with, my heartfelt condolences to the O'Keefe family and faith. That sentence is strange. My heartfelt condolences to the O'Keefe family and faith that over the coming years, they will find peace and closure. I don't even know how I would rewrite that statement because I'm just so confused. And then at the end, it says Hank Brennan. I also hope the O'Keefe family is able to find peace and closure. I think it's kind of hard when the investigation was not helpful. I also think it's helpful to call out all of it. No one connected to this case should be harassed, doxxed, threatened. No one. And it shouldn't. I don't know why it has to be. I don't know why it has to be said. Like, don't obviously don't do that. So, not a word about thanking the jury for their service. I like Morrissey's statement better. I don't think this helps. It feels, this is just my opinion. Wait, where is it?
That's my opinion!
It continues to feel like the prosecution in the Reed case did not prosecute a case, but tried to defend all the parts of the case. And I think one of the things that was so difficult during this trial was that we were watching two defense attorneys act like defense attorneys, or more than two. But I don't fault Attorney Jackson and Little and Yannetti and Alessi for that. I don't fault them for that. They were doing their job. They were defense attorneys. It's their job. But it felt like Brennan was also defending law enforcement, defending the investigation, defending the witnesses. It felt like he was defending the case. But it was his job to prosecute the case. And at many aspects in the case, there were times where he was leaving open multiple possibilities. And that's exactly what defense attorneys do. If all of these things are possible and realistically possible, and reasonably possible, then that's doubt. It is the job of prosecutors to say, this thing is what happened. Even in his closing, he was talking about possibilities. That's doubt, though. There can't be other possibilities. And if you think about some of the cases that you've watched, you look at those cases and go, no, there's no other possibility. I know exactly what happened here. It was this. That's not this case. And even in closing, Brennan was saying, he was talking about the video. We saw in the video from the ARCA testing that it approximates that could have happened.
Anyway, Emily D. Baker goes on to share her thoughts about Brennan's statement. And her thoughts and opinions are really no different than in every other ethical, moral law tuber I have respect for and follow and pay attention to. Gosh, I really wanted to do a lot more, but I can't. You guys know me enough by now. I can't ever stop talking long enough to ever get everything in that I want to get into a live stream. And we still have about 90 minutes, it looks like, before Andrea Burkhart goes live with Turtle Boy. So I don't listen. I want to figure out Jonathan, who made a great suggestion to me that I don't know how to do, but let me see if I can find it and put it up. Yes. Uh, just Rhonda, do you do the rate thing? I never have. I don't know how. I've never really been in a position to, I don't know why I haven't been in a position, but I do most of our shows on Sunday afternoon or Sunday evening. And there's not a lot of people or other, streamers that I am no familiar with for me to send people to. But if I can get Rick and Cherie to address comments and questions in the chat while I try to figure that out and see if I can do it, I will absolutely send everybody on a raid to raid Andrea's channel. And I understand it's not quite time
What's a
for her to go
raid?
live.
I never heard of it.
So a raid
it's what you type in a raid command and the channel that you're raiding, and it moves the people watching you over to their stream in the same window.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Rick, do I do that in YouTube Studio or anybody in the chat? Does anybody know?
I have no idea. That I could not tell you.
Okay. Jonah, or anybody else, honestly, if you know how a raid is done, I guess I could Google it. I'm being kind of lazy right now because I'm kind of in a hurry to figure it out. I don't know why, but I just don't want to let everybody go.
On Bob Mata's channel or Defense Diaries, they call it portaling. Oh, I never heard it called a raid.
Portaling probably because I'm guessing because of Daybell's, the Daybell people.
Could be.
Because it is, I believe that most YouTubers that I've seen, and I've been portaled to other channels all the time. Kurt does it all the time. So I really would like to figure that out while we're live so I can at least try it. And can you guys see anybody in the chat giving me any information about how to do it? Or, I'm guessing I go through YouTube, through Stream, YouTube Studio to do it. No, nobody knows.
I'm looking it up right now.
Okay.
I've heard that the other person, like whoever you're transporting them to, has to be set up to receive that, I guess. But maybe Andrea is, or whoever you were going to transport them to.
Yeah, well, I'm sure most of them are. Most of the good big law tubers for sure are most likely set up for it. Because I mean, I don't even know if I am, but if I'm not, I will figure out how to be. But again, I'm on Sunday afternoons. I don't really have anybody else streaming, but hey, it doesn't hurt to try, right? So I should take the time to figure that out. Jonah, do you know how this works? Come on, man, you're the one who said it. Or any others who are new to the chat, if you know.
Log into YouTube Studio, go to settings, click on community. Under live redirects, enter specific channels you want to allow a redirect to. Once you're done, click save.
Okay, I'm under settings, live what?
Log into YouTube Studio, go to settings, click on community. Under live redirects, enter specific channels you want to allow to redirect to yours. That's if you want somebody to be able to raid you. As you're about, how to raid somebody. As you're about to end your stream, you choose which channel to send your viewers to. This can be configured from YouTube's live control room on desktop. Once you're in live control room, follow the steps below. Click edit, select customization. Under redirect, click add, search for and select the stream your viewers will be sent to. When your live stream ends, you will see a confirmation showing where your viewers were redirected.
Okay, well that must be a.
I'll send you this in a DM
Okay.
or the group chat instead of trying to remember all that right now.
Yeah, you know what, I'm guessing that it must have to do with monetization or number of subscribers, because I don't have any of those options, as far as I can tell. Let's see. Channel insights. I'm really sorry, everybody that's is still hanging out in chat waiting for more. I really want to figure this out though, so I can send you guys all there, and then you don't have to try to figure out what time you have to be there. Advertisements allow viewers to clip my content. Third party, other settings. Manage YouTube account, remove YouTube content. No, that's not what I want to do. Permissions? Maybe it's under permissions. Nope. Oh man. Yeah, I'm betting that you have to have a lot more subs than what I do. So if you haven't subbed yet to my channel and you think you might be interested, hey, there is no better time than to do it than now. I can't find anything though that lets me know that I'm eligible to do that, unfortunately. I'm so sorry. But I love the idea, Jonah. That was an awesome idea. So
Yeah.
anyway,
I'm sending you a couple of links so you can figure it out later.
okay, all right, thank you. Okay, so let me just kind of I don't know. I don't want to say final comments, but do you have yeah, the harder part. Yeah, I understand that, Jonah. This is not the best time, but because of Andrea going live with a pretty big deal, in a little while, it would be a good time to try it. So let's see. I'm going to kind of just go through some of these other comments in the chat, and we'll talk about them a little bit and see, see what we just talk about them. Okay. Okay. So we've done that one. Cocksucket. Like that one. I'm sorry. I'm getting distracted by all these amazing words you guys shared with me. Turtle Boy, Carrie B says Turtle Boy was right on. I know some of these comments were quite some time ago, but it's okay. I still want to read them. So, and then Michael Stetson says, what's disappointing is that Andy Bev can slink back into the shadows now, and nothing will come of her reprehensible handling of both Karen Reed's trials. Yeah, I know, it is very disappointing. And it's, for those of us who don't live in Canton or even Massachusetts, speaking for myself, it's really frustrating that there's nothing that we can do from where we are to even try to help people who are good people in Massachusetts or Canton. I just want to be able to reach out, and I can't, and that's very frustrating for me. And I think it's also very frustrating for Cherie, because I know her personality is very much like mine, and it's really frustrating for us. Yes. Go ahead.
Sorry. I always go, whenever I think that, I try to go back to what Dean Strang said in Making a Murderer. How can we help? Keep talking about it.
That's true. That's true. And that's why, we spent so many years on Avery and Dassey, and that's why we're spending till my last breath, until I can't even, till I have dementia or something, talking about Daniel's case. And even if by the time we get through the trial again, reading the police reports, transcripts, and all that stuff that's coming up soon, I'll do it all over again. We'll just keep doing it over and over again, talking about it, and bringing the attention and the awareness to it, because, or until he comes home, until he's finally receives justice and gets to go home to his family. Jen says, I don't recall. I love Aiden. He is a great human and he always has receipts. Yes, yeah, he does. To protect his ass, and what they're doing to Turtle Boy is ridiculous. He needs us now, so if you can donate to his defense fund. Listen, this is the only time I've ever put a link in a chat for donations is for Daniel's defense fund. But listen, if somebody has, I'm willing to have you guys drop that link in the chat, any of the mods who can get a hold of that for Turtle Boy's defense fund, Aiden Carney's defense fund. I'm happy to have his link in the chat, and also we can put it in the description later when we're done here. Because I know that, whatever can be helped with is, I know he would be grateful for. And you don't have to do that either, but I've sent Aiden Carney, Turtle Boy, whatever you want to call him. I've sent him. I can't wait to send him a message. I wish I could be on one of his live streams sometime and have the money to send him what does he call those turtle chats?
There it is. I just posted it in the chat. The Give, Send, Go. I just posted.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Rick. So there's the link. Rick has dropped the link for anybody who is interested in helping Aiden Carney in his incredibly bizarre battle for his freedom for the rest of his life. Freedom. But yeah, so if you're able to, that's what I was going to say. When I'm watching his live streams, and he's reading turtle chats and stuff, I think is what he calls them. I'm a broke person, and I know a lot of us are. I'm not, so I'm not like whining or, pitiful me kind of thing here, but I just never have the money that I can send him a turtle chat, but I want to send him a turtle chat and say, what is it that everybody else is saying? I think it's listen, turtle. I just want to say that so bad. I just want to say, listen, turtle. I don't even have to say anything else. I don't know. I'm weird. I just really want to be able to do that sometime. And I hope the day will come very soon that I can do that on one of his live streams. Because I just think, I just feel I feel like he's just being fucked over so hard, and it's just being persecuted, like Cherie said earlier. Let's see here. Let me go back to what Ralph said. They're going to try to hold him for the not guilty verdict and lock him up as long as possible. They're going to try to hold him for the not guilty verdict. You mean for his most recent not guilty verdict? It's out of context because I'm going back quite a way, from in comments, so I'm not sure what that was in reference to, but yeah, I think I have an idea what you're saying, but I'm not really sure. And then Jen said, that's bullshit. He said something about Hank trying to become the prosecutor now for his case. What? I know this has been quite some time ago this comment was made, but oh my God.
I think that's probably just a dream that Brennan had. I don't think that he would be allowed. Kind of conflict.
You'd have to have, first it would be a conflict, and wouldn't he have to be appointed as a special prosecutor again?
Prosecutor.
Yeah, that too. Yeah.
Yeah, but come on. This is what county, Norfolk County or whatever. I don't think he would have a hard time being appointed special prosecutor if he wanted it that bad. I really don't. I have no faith, no trust in that system. I just don't. Yes, Nurse Kim, I've only discovered her about 2 months ago. She is pretty darn funny. I really do like her. Yes, Jen says he already served 60 days over there. Yeah. And when I hear him talk about that time, my heart hurts for him, like in every way, because I've never been in jail, and I've been threatened to have my kids taken away from me under circumstances I'm not going to talk about here. But that reminds me, those are the kinds of things that I will talk about on my new second channel. If anybody is interested in just kind of listening to random live streams of me just talking about whatever's on my mind, join that channel. I hope to be starting to, I think right now I have about 35 subscribers. Not bad, not bad. I only put it out last week. So I don't have any content there yet, but take a look at the description for that. And if it's something, if you're just kind of like the kind of person that likes to listen to other people's drama or opinions or thoughts or rants or Rhonda rants, please feel free to subscribe to that channel as well. And I would really appreciate it. Michael says, even the phrase holding someone accountable for the not guilty verdict is deeply disturbing. Facts, Michael. Yes. And it should be deeply disturbing to everybody who cares about freedom and justice. Absolutely. I believe earlier I said the word egregious, and I'm thinking that might be what Carrie B is referring to with egregious 100. Jen says 60 days for a lie to boot. How can people just weaponize the system to one's benefit? Yeah, I don't know. WTF. I'm assuming that means what the fuck. Yeah. I don't know. Listen, Jen, Cherie and I have been covering corruption in wrongful conviction cases for Daniel's case, for this channel, over 5 years. But for wrongful convictions in general, I would say close to 10 years. So yeah, we just can't, our minds don't understand corrupt systems, but here we are. It seems like it gets worse. Or I don't know if it's that it gets worse, but I think it's more visible to us now because of the internet and because of YouTube and other people streaming different trials and whatnot. By the way, I am hoping to learn more ins and outs about live streaming trials because as some of you, maybe most of you are aware, I live in Utah, and there's a pretty high profile trial coming up next year for Corey Richens. She lives in jail in Summit County, about 40 miles northeast of me, a little bit. So I'm hoping to be able to live stream that trial. I know there's going to be other law tubers, Emily D. Baker, for instance, who plans to live stream that trial, and I couldn't even dream of, nor would I want to take any of her audience from her. But if anybody is interested in that trial, I could use some encouragement, and you would want a slower chat, for instance, which it would definitely be. Hopefully with some learning and information and some research and figuring out how to live stream a trial, you hopefully can come back and watch me live stream the Corey Richens trial, which takes place sometime early next year, if I'm not mistaken. So there's that. Under your scars, I'm in, I can't even say that word, but Canada is what I'm sure is what is meant. Wish I could be there for Turtle Boy trials. Yeah, I understand. I agree. I feel the same way. I think the Glare will stream it. I think you're referring, Jen, to Turtle Boy's case coming up on the 7th. Miss Reed says, in my opinion, it's worse. They're trying to send him to prison for 105 years for asking people. See, I heard that it was 105 years, and he says that, but I never knew if it was like an exaggeration or if that is a real thing. Like, I don't understand. That's just, there's no way. There's no way that can happen. Michael said earlier, the Turtle Boy stuff is definitely more persecution than prosecution, for sure, for sure. And Under Your Scars says, Turtle Boy is how she knew about the Karen Reed case. Carrie B said, yes, the McAlberts are saying the justice system failed them. Yes, it's just reprehensible. Nobody failed them but their own stupidity and lies and corruption and covering up. Those are some unhealthy, mentally ill, lying liars, all of them. Carrie B, Michael said, Carrie B, odd they'd say that after claiming they had no involvement. Right? Yeah, great point, Michael. Great point. And then Jen said, damn, Alberts play the system. Yeah, they do. Well, and the system works really well for them. I don't even know if they have to really play that hard. I think they just kind of, it's just kind of there. The system's there for them, regardless of what horseshit they said. Under Your Scar said, justice system failed everyone in Canton, but for the People's First Amendment. Sick place. Yeah. Yes. Miss Reed says, and other citizens, there's new WI charges for 2 Canton residents for protesting Cristal. I saw that, saying he should resign from the select board. I saw that. I know what you're talking. I'm not reading the sentence very well, but I did see that there are other, I'm trying to think of who I saw that on. Gosh, it's somebody that I just recently found last week, I think. Showed the document, the charging document for that. They're just trying to steal people's First Amendment right, left and right in Canton. It's really frightening. Under Your Scars says, just look at Bev cutting off finishing sentences. It's so fucking obvious. You know, that was something that Mark Betterow talked about. I think it was Mark Betterow. No, it was Judge Erskine, I think is her name, on Lawyer You Know's channel. Because I know that this is something we probably all thought at the time. But when Judge Bev so graciously told Bob Alessi after the ARCA voir dire for the second time, I think, second or third time, that she was going to allow, wait, how did that go? Who was it? She was going to allow Mr. Yannetti or Mr. Alessi a robust cross-examination. And I don't remember, it had to have been a Commonwealth witness. And Judge Erskine on Lawyer You Know's channel said something about, what do you mean allow the defense a robust cross-examination? When is a robust cross-examination ever not allowed? And I know I thought that when I heard her say that. I thought, really? You're going to allow them a robust cross-examination or whatever the situation was? It's been a minute. I was floored. I couldn't believe I heard her say that. And listen, again, I've never been to law school, but I've watched enough trials. I read enough court documents. I read enough motions in limines and motions in this and that and the other. For enough years that I understand a little bit about certain laws or what are they called? Rules in courts. And, Sixth Amendment rights, 14th Amendment rights, Fifth Amendment rights. I know enough about those things that I know that a defendant is already allowed a robust defense of themselves, which was, again, going back to Michael Easter, how the hell could she say he couldn't testify? that was part of, never mind. I'm going to go. I'll be here all damn day, and I want to get you guys sent over to Andrea. But I do want to read these comments because what you guys have to say and offer is important to me. Yes, everyone. Yes. That one. Cutting off turtle boy. Yep, we're working on that. Again, this is a way past comment. 7 p.m. It's going to be lit. Yep, going to be a great show. Michael Morrissey is still saying Sandra. Yeah, we talked about that. Yes, Michael Stetson says that Andrea Burkhart is one smart cookie. Absolutely, she really is. And you know what? Her calming, juxtaposed to Kurt on civil law, who I'm usually, like I said, I watched every day of the trial with him and his chat. But at night, sometimes, if I just wanted a calmer, quieter breakdown of certain things in a day, I would listen to Andrea's, breakdowns and comments and stuff like that, because she is very smart, and yes, for me, her voice is calming at times when I really needed to be calmed down in certain things. So let's see. We've got some. Do the right thing. I'm trying to do the right thing. I don't think I'm going to figure it out before this one, but I sure am. Got to figure that out. Oh, God, yes. We haven't really discussed the jury here at all in this live stream, but oh my gosh. The way juror number 11 and the foreman, I haven't really seen as much. I have seen the racist stuff in Twixter against the foreman, but man, the way they come for juror 11 and the way she just says, a big fat fuck you with both middle fingers is really, really awesome and inspiring. So, let's see. I'm gonna put this one just because I like it, probably just because it says dick in it. I'm gonna put that one up there again. Let's see. This case is fascinating, and I've been hooked since opening statements in trial 1, and we keep learning more. Yeah, yep, definitely. Jen said, in my opinion, FBI is still watching the shit show. How can they not be? I don't know. Especially after I listened to Michael Easter's interviews, I was like, oh yeah, I don't know. I just feel like there's a little nugget that he's not able to discuss, and that's okay. But yeah, they have been enlightening. Yes. Rick Donner says, after all this time, I don't think we will ever know unless someone opens their mouth. I think we're talking about who killed John O'Keefe. Yes, Brennan defending the Alberts. Yep, that's defending the McAlberts and trying to climb the ladder even higher for himself. You guys have been so great. You guys, all of you new folks, I love all of my regular audience that comes here, regularly. Of course, I love you guys. I just am really appreciative, though, of those of you who, for whatever reason, probably, the algorithm mentioning Karen Reed and all that maybe brought you here. Some of you have become more familiar, with what I do. Maybe, have learned that I would be doing something. I don't know, but I really am appreciative of you guys just showing up here to a video, to a YouTuber content creator you've probably maybe never heard of. Hi, Bruce, I didn't see you earlier. I'm so happy to have you here. So I really do appreciate you coming here and joining our chat, our unscripted, random thoughts, Rhonda rants, rambling chats, and participating and giving giving information that I've not heard before in different, for different things, and, suggesting different things, and, different channels and different interviews from other YouTubers, law tubers. I really do appreciate you guys, all of you, for, for doing this, because it's really helpful, um, to talk about it. And number one, and I'm not gonna lie, I appreciate the the extra eyes on the case that we cover on this channel pretty exclusively, that being Daniel Holt's wrongful conviction, and like I said, for other trials, or John DePietro, oh good lord, listen, I don't know how he's allowed to be human or be called human. He's just somebody. I saw the word clown earlier in the chat. Yeah, that guy is a fucking clown, man. He is bizarre. Um, um, I don't, oh shoot. I don't know. He was demonetized. Who was demonetized? I'm so sorry. I'm so far behind in the
I
comments.
think we might be talking about Turtle Boy. I didn't know that he was doing
Oh.
Yeah, he was.
No, yeah,
YouTube demonetized him quite a while ago.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm behind on that.
That's why he does turtle chats instead of, like, he has his own little program set up for receiving donations and stuff, like turtle chats. I think he uses I don't know if he does buy me a coffee or cash out, but he might do. Yeah, I think he has a couple of those as well. So yeah, thank you. But I'm not sure if I misheard something the other night. I thought I heard him say the other night that he is allowed to monetize again now, but he refuses to do it. So hey, you know what? A lot of respect for that if that's the case. If I did hear what
Do you blame him?
Hell no.
At this point, do you blame him?
No. Yeah, I just think that's so crazy. Miss Reed says nothing has been announced, but a lot of us have a feeling that he's going to try to get on this on Hank Brennan. I'm thinking, you mean to get on Turtle Boy's case, and like Rick said, I think the only thing would be if he were appointed special prosecutor, but I kind of think that he could do that if he really wanted to. So I miss saying goodbye to you, Jonah, but I hope you had a great day. Thank you so much for your contribution and your suggestion. I really appreciate you always. So thank you for being here, and have a fun evening. So I haven't seen anything by Hank Brennan's brother, but I have seen Sean or Scott McCabe all over in Twitter hell, just going after jurors and different people. So anyway, yeah, I've watched cases where people have been found guilty, and I might have thought perhaps they shouldn't have been found not guilty or whatever. And it's kind of sad, and you kind of go through a bit of a mourning or whatever grief thing you deal with, and afterwards, but you move on, right? Like there's something else coming, and you don't forget about it, but there's something else coming that you need to pay attention to or focus on or get involved with. You don't do what these Coffin Daffer Dingleberry, whatever. I'm sorry, I know I said we would talk about her, and I didn't, but yeah, like her and DePietro, man, those people need to freaking move on with life, and they're mentally ill with their constant just on and on and on, with they just can't seem to let go. And that's scary. Like, you people need to move on. You call yourself professionals, be fucking professional and move on. Coffin Daffer said something on Twitter last week about moving. She was going to move on to Koberger now, blah, 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 whatever she said. And all of you FKR people, stay away from Brian Koberger case. Paraphrase that. I don't know if those were the exact words, but that's what she said. And I commented back, and not that, I mean, I never get reactions from these people on Twitter, which is fine. I get to say what I want to say, and nobody says anything back. But I said, excuse me, you can't tell me or us or anyone what case we can pay attention to or not. What the hell are you talking about? Get out of here. So yeah. Anyway, oh, Pat Hecker, I love you guys too. I love all of you guys. Have been so amazing tonight. This has been so much fun. And so fun to hear from new people in the chat and from all of my regular audience chatters who always have fun, interesting, informative comments to make as well. Yes, Sheila, Daniel's case is insane. And looks like Under Your Scar says that Turtle Boy is on now, so I know that everybody wants to go listen to Turtle Boy, so we're going to go ahead and let you guys go. Again, my heartfelt thank you to every one of you for everything, for all of your participation and your comments. We love you, we appreciate you, and we hope that some of you, all of you, will come back the next time. And like I said, join, subscribe to Sassy Gemini channel. I don't have time right now to put it in the chat, but the link, but I think it's at the very beginning somewhere. So if you could go back and grab that, and I'll also put it in the description. And Bruce Rice, thank you so much for the gift of memberships. You are so sweet and so generous, and we really, really appreciate you. We're stuff in the works. I haven't done it, but we'll get there. I'll get there with extra stuff for members. And I got a few slots that I had for special emojis, so you're welcome to use those if you're a member. If you like using emojis, there's a few there for you to use. But I want to let everybody go. Everybody have a amazing night. Enjoy the live streams that are coming. And I hope to see you guys back next time. Till then, everybody, I love you. Peace out.